Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Who are you guys? Who are you today? Are you fine? Okay. Today I am with my group. Will presentation about students' anxiety in learning English. A case study at the 8th grade of Pondok Pesantren Internasional Muhammadiyah Miftahul Ulum Pekajangan Pekalongan. And in this group, only 3 members. The first is Khudriyah Fitroh Aloil, the second Kusumanata Laksana, and the last is Rahma Salsabila. Okay, next. Okay, guys, now we go to the background. Emotions are important in the classroom since it has impact on learning. In the case of foreign language learning, students' emotions tend to be more discouraging rather than encouraging. One of the emotional states that makes such process become difficult is anxiety. Emotions are important in the classroom since it has impact on learning. They influence learners' ability to process information and to accurately understand what they encounter. Brown states that emotions affect learning in the most fundamental way because they are the foundation of the learning strategies and techniques. In other words, emotional state can encourage or discourage learning. For example, students learn and perform more successfully when they feel secure, happy, and excited about the subject's matter. Emotions have the potential to energize students' thinking and also have the potential to interfere with learning. Negative emotions such as anger, anxiety, and sadness have the potential to restrict students' learning efforts. Unfortunately, in the case of foreign language learning, students' emotions tend to be more discouraging rather than encouraging. One of the emotional states that makes such process becomes difficult in anxiety. Emotional states such as anxiety can distract students in the learning process. Feeling of tension, worry, and nervousness will impede students' ability to perform successfully in a foreign language classroom. The purpose. The mainly purpose of our project is to figure out what factors are more probable to cause anxiety to students when learning English language. Okay, next.
Okay, as you can see, this data display from the interview, it shows what factors that might contribute to be the student anxiety. The first interview, the fourth interview, the fifth interview, and the sixth interview, the seventh interview. Next, the eighth interview, the ninth interview, and the 10th interview. And the last is the 11th interview. Based on table, we can simplify it to it shows that unclear explanation and speaking activities were the aspects that bothered the participants most about English class. They spoke of their fear of making mistakes and being recorded by peers. Rather than, they thought that they feel unsure because only had limited vocabulary and grammar knowledge. They also feel that the other students are better than them. While asked how people react if someone makes a mistake, they all responded that their peers will laugh. Further, furthermore, how teachers influence their feelings, the teacher can generate anxiety by the way they act and behave, such as harsh and threatening methods, spoke too much fast, and force them to practice less. The participants suggest that the teacher should teach more slowly and comprehensible by using English moderately. They also want the teacher to encourage them and not force them to practice. And next is the result of observation. This is the data display of result of observation. Next, okay, based on table, we can see that it shows that students might feel anxious at some situations. Students were mostly anxious in speaking activities such as speaking in front of class, being called on teacher, or waiting turn to speak. They also worried about grammatical and pronunciation mistakes. It also revealed that students often laugh at the other students who made a mistake. Some students appeared to be anxious when their peer recorded them. Further, it also appeared that students might feel anxious when the teacher delivered a lesson. They began to feel uneasy when not understand the lesson. Next will be continued by my friend Rudria.
Okay, discussion factor contribute to anxiety. There are two aspects. The one comes from teacher and the other comes from students. Comes from teacher. The first is speaking in front of class. During observation, it's also found that students appeared to be anxious when speaking in front of others. Some of them lowered their voices or read faster to avoid the teacher correction, while several others were likely to avoid their teacher by pretending to be busy writing a note or read a book. Few even refused the teacher's instruction to practice their speaking English in front of the class in an effort to avoid humiliation or embarrassment of being called to speak. So the second is incomprehensible input. Moreover, the result of the observation revealed that some students looked confused when the teacher gave a lesson. A few even showed carelessness by chatting with their friends next to them or drawing something maybe to reduce their anxiousness. So the third is teacher's personality and attitude. Few other students complained that the teacher sometimes showing a pathetic attitude. One thought his experience that one day he asked about a lesson, but the teacher just ignored him. The teacher ordered him to ask his friend instead of answer the question. The other one thought similar story. So, which comes from student. The first is being loved by others. This finding is supported by the result of observation that indeed most students were likely to laugh at their peers when he or she made a mistake. The worst thing was the students who made the mistake just started to lose their focus. Their mind went blank and remained silent for a moment. So the second is students' belief about language learning. During observation, it also revealed that students were too afraid to become active in their classroom. Most students were passive. They preferred to wait for the teachers, just followed and did whatever the teacher told them to do. So the third is lack of preparation. The findings indicated the lack of preparation was also factors that contribute to the student anxiety. Few admitted that they usually get very anxious when they didn't prepare enough for tests or speaking practice. Okay, so the conclusion is, while other studies of foreign language anxiety focus on either both college or high school level, this present study focus on junior secondary school level and shows clear and convincing evidence of the causes of students' anxiety in learning English. Okay, thank you very much for your attention all. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.